Peters, that St Peters was a tip site, just like Flat Rock's a tip site. And I thought this diagram was really interesting, and maybe you could just really quickly tell us a little bit about it and some of the air monitoring project that you're doing at the moment.
You mentioned that you've actually got a monitor in here somewhere now that they're using for the EIS, and I very much support what you're saying, that you should have that data now. Now, the people in St Peters, the parents there were just as worried as people are now, and when they put the monitor in there, which they put in 2015, in writing, they told the parents that they would get the results. To this day, they have not got the results. Now, that monitor that you've got here, it's probably run by Pacific Environment, which does the monitoring for the EIS. And of course, they'll be getting detailed charts, you know, where you could see sort of every probably hour for PM 2.5, you would see a recording. Now, that if when the EIS came out, you could bury deep down into it. If you had the time, down into Appendix X, and you might find a reference, but not that complete data even then, you might find a reference to that. What I can say to you is that the projections for what it would be like along the M4 East and the M5, the projections in the EIS are not consistent. They're below what is happening now at St Peters and along the M4 East. Now, there could be, the OEH have got these proper reference monitors, a few of them around Sydney, none near here actually, the nearest one is Linfield. They very much emphasise, and I think that's right, that it's the regional effects, things like the bushfires too are a real worry, and it's definitely crossing all over Sydney. So if there are increasing burn-offs and bushfires, you've got a problem anyway. But they're very resistant to admitting that the construction sites and the construction sites and just the sheer trucks and cars on the road, we all know scientifically it is a contributor, but they're constantly pushing back. If we happen to have an expert here who's interested in getting involved with this, we really need more people, I think, looking at this. But I'll just explain this one chart. To get this chart, I'm working with my son on this, who's more like an open data software, you know, can write scraping data, software data. So basically, I would not be able to do all this without his help. Now, when they do finally publish these EIS monthly reports from St Peters, so that monitor's been there since 2015, they're just done in PDFs with one single figure for the month. You never get that daily data that you need. However, they do have to declare the national exceedances, and there have been some. And at the end of the day, when we've been able to get them to put those PDFs up, and I've had the time to read them, and we've pulled out those figures, and we've put them into Excel spreadsheets, we can see what's happening. I can also tell you that right on my phone now, they have put up the latest one for August at St Peters. It's even worse than what's here. But also they have admitted that there's national exceedances on a daily basis, not on a daily basis, but there are some that they can only attribute to construction. That means the EIS that said that wouldn't happen, and whatever effects will be insignificant or able to be mitigated is wrong. Now, they don't want to admit that, but that's the case. And what you can see here is this is when the asbestos was being removed from the site in St Peters. It was actually being dumped on a landfill out in Western Sydney, where the residents became very alarmed about that, as you can imagine. Truck drivers rang us and told us about that. This is a down period when the EIS was going through. This is about the time when Pauline's house has been pulled down, just here, somewhere here, then goes up, and then this is when the serious work began. So you can see it's now over 25. That is the yearly limit for PM10, and then it's rising here, and it's continued to stay up. So, but to do that, we have to actually compile the data. But I very much recommend that you use GEPA, that you put into RMS. You demand to have that data as soon as it starts coming out, because you know, you really should be entitled to it. And it's absolutely outrageous that they're collecting information about air quality that they're not prepared to share with the public.
And just very briefly, having lived over in Europe for 3 years, I was impressed with your Stuttgart model of residents collecting their own data on air quality. If you're particularly concerned about that issue, could you just quickly tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, well, I will just also mention that the M4 East monitors, the 6, which are meant to be there ultimately to show that the tunnel ventilation doesn't make any difference. I can report to you that right now, and if any of you are interested, I suggest you go and look at the situation in Ramsay Street, Haberfield. Right now today, on my phone, I can show you that the red line has gone up through the 25 for the day limit on PM 2.5. Now it's only because I'm watching it on my phone fairly closely that you would know that. Again, they're not going to send that out to the residents tomorrow. Eventually they may get it. But the Stuttgart thing, so right around the world now, people are getting into low-cost monitoring. Now, I think it's important to say at the outset that if you pay $100,000 for a monitor, like the ones along the M4 East now, or the one that you've got here already, you are going to get higher quality data. There's no doubt about that. But because there is so little air monitoring going on right across Europe, in Asia also, different sorts of sensors are being used. So we got onto a project which is 700 of these little monitors are in Stuttgart right now. You can look at it on the web. They cost $50, they come from China. We're working with my son and another guy called Anari Dagan. They're open source people. They chose this because we'll be able to get access to the data and analyse it. And we've got about 18 monitors now in Sydney. We're working with a friend called Charlie Pierce, who's worked at the EPA. We will be attempting to get as close to being able to see how they compare to the EPA monitors. That's taking a little bit of time. I need to say that they're probably under-measuring, not over-measuring, but once we work out the difference, we'll be able to evaluate that. But they're already showing interesting things. They do, of course, show that if you're nearer to the corner of, say, Edgware Road and Enmore Road, around that area, you're likely to be getting some very big spikes when there's some diesel trucks stopped at the lights. And you can actually see that on your computer if you know which one it is. So anyway, I've got little cards here tonight. There's a form if people want them that they can fill in. We do really need people who've got like a little bit better than basic computer skills, like I've got, a bit better than that, and who can climb a ladder. Just a little thing, little computer inside a bit of white pipe from Bunnings. You can put them on the outside of your house. Providing you've got Wi-Fi, you can then see what the air quality is, but plus you can see what other people's is too, and you can look at it on a map or various forms you can get it in. So if anyone's interested, please talk to me. I think it's going to create a much more nuanced picture. It's not necessarily a totally accurate picture, but it is a lot more information it will provide than what we have at the moment.
And I think, Wendy, you referred to so our closest permanent monitoring station, which is rolls up into the data about air quality in Sydney, is at Linfield. And if you see right down the bottom there, it says that it does not comply with Australian standards, which doesn't impress me very much.
So I think it's down at the bottom. Just one more thing. Yeah. I'd just like to mention that Willoughby Council does have a proper monitor, one of these Ecotech ones. It's measuring PM10 and PM2.5. It's on the Artarmon Industrial Estate. And I noticed that it's been over the limit for PM10 for 11 days during July and August. I rang Willoughby Council. I'm very dissatisfied with their reaction to it, but I've confirmed with the EPA that they are looking at the concrete plants.
And I mean, these sorts of monitoring programs have been used successfully in Germany to affect change in government, but also effectively in the inner west where there's been incidents of poor air quality. So I'm very conscious of the time. Thank you so much, Wendy.